I put on a film last year, expecting something easy to watch before bed. Finished it at 2 AM, couldn't sleep, and spent the next day thinking about it more than I'd like to admit. That film was on Apple TV, and it turned out it wasn't a one-off. The platform has built this whole quiet catalogue of sci-fi that just hits differently. So today I'm ranking 10 of the best ones. Fair warning, a few of these are going to stick with you in ways you're not expecting. Number 1 especially. Right, let's go. Okay, so number 10. And I'm already throwing you in the deep end, because MAR.IA is not a comfortable watch. At all. It's a cyberpunk body horror revenge film, and I mean that in the most unhinged festival circuit way possible. A woman named Maria Black gets, essentially turned into a cyborg without her consent, and what follows is, let's just say she goes about reclaiming herself in a very thorough manner. What actually got me about this one wasn't the gore, it was the commentary underneath it. The film uses all the body horror and the mechanics of transhumanism to ask something surprisingly sharp. In a world where your body can be bought, modified, and traded, who does it actually belong to? It's gritty, it's raw. It's the kind of film that big studios wouldn't touch with a 10-foot pole. And that's kind of exactly why it works. It's not for everyone, I'll say that clearly, but if you can stomach it, there's something genuinely bold being said here. A jagged, scrappy number 10. Number 9. And look, I know what you're thinking. Mate, this is a Ryan Reynolds Christmas musical. And yeah, it is. But hear me out for a second. Spirited takes the classic A Christmas Carol and reframes it as a fully operational corporate bureaucracy. Like, the Ghost of Christmas Present has performance reviews. There are HR departments. There are KPIs for human redemption. As someone who sat through actual corporate onboarding, I found that funnier than I probably should have. The speculative world building here is surprisingly clever. The way the afterlife is depicted as this sprawling, technologically advanced management system, complete with data analytics and field teams, it's essentially workplace science fiction dressed in a festive jumper. It's not deep sci-fi, and I'm not pretending it is, but it's a genuinely creative, funny film that earns its spot on this list for sheer originality. Sometimes you just need something that's light and clever and doesn't make you cry into your duvet at midnight. Unlike several other films on this list. You'll see. At number 8, Ghosted. Apple's Friday Night with Popcorn movie, and it absolutely commits to that energy. Chris Evans plays this completely ordinary bloke who falls for a woman, she goes quiet, as people do, and when he tries to track her down in the most romantically questionable decision in cinematic history, he ends up in the middle of an international spy conspiracy. And the tech in this film? Properly fun. Bioweapons, advanced gadgetry, the kind of stuff that keeps escalating every 20 minutes. The reason I actually like this one more than I expected to is the pacing. It never really slows down enough for you to poke holes in it, which is exactly what a film like this needs to do. Ana de Armas is brilliant. She was basically born to play effortlessly lethal, and she does it here with this kind of dry charm that I really enjoyed. It's not trying to be 2001: A Space Odyssey. It's trying to be a fun, slick, slightly ridiculous action rom-com with some near-future toys. And it nails that completely. Number 7, and right, this one crept up on me. The Astronaut is a psychological sci-fi horror film starring Kate Mara as a NASA astronaut who comes back from a catastrophic accident in space, and instead of being welcomed home and given a nice cup of tea, she's immediately thrown into government quarantine in this cold, clinical facility. Her family can't reach her, her memories of the accident are fragmented, and then things in the house start to feel wrong. The whole film is built around this central question that it absolutely refuses to answer for you. Is something following her, or is her own mind just breaking apart from the trauma? And the restraint with which it handles that question is what makes it genuinely unsettling. There are no jump scares every 3 minutes. It just builds this slow, suffocating dread. Lawrence Fishburne plays her estranged father running the operation, and the dynamic between them adds this whole extra layer of institutional control and gaslighting that the film uses really sharply as a metaphor. It's a quiet film, but the quiet is loud, if that makes sense. Number 6. So, an alien fungus has been frozen under a storage facility since 1979. It thaws. Liam Neeson, a parolee, and a single mum have to stop the end of the world. That's the film. That's genuinely the film. And it is an absolute blast. Cold Storage knows exactly what it is. A gloriously self-aware B-movie creature feature with A-list production values. And it executes that premise with so much confidence and wit that I was grinning throughout basically the entire runtime. Joe Keery as Tea-Cake, the chatty parolee, is honestly one of my favourite supporting characters of the year. The chemistry between him and Georgina Campbell feels real, the dialogue is sharp, and Liam Neeson doing a deadpan bioterror expert thing is, it's exactly as good as it sounds. On top of the entertainment value, the film quietly taps into something that feels very post-pandemic. This anxiety about biological threats, about infrastructure crumbling, about the systems meant to protect us quietly decaying underground. It just wraps all of that in enough slime and dark humour that you barely notice the commentary until it's already landed. Hey, if you're enjoying this so far, drop a like. It actually helps more than you'd think. And if this is somehow the first video of mine you stumbled onto, subscribe. I do these deep dives pretty regularly, and I think you'll like the channel. Right, back to it. Number 5. And Fingernails is the kind of film that you recommend to someone and then immediately watch their face as you try to explain the premise. So there's this test, and it involves pulling out your fingernails, and it tells you scientifically whether you're truly in love with someone. And then they just stare at you. But it works. The world the director Christos Nikou builds is this retro-futuristic bubble. No smartphones, vinyl records, analog everything. And within it, this institute exists that produces a clinical, definitive compatibility score for couples. Jessie Buckley plays a woman who's been validated by the test, who should, by all scientific measures, be completely happy. And she's not. She's deeply, quietly lonely. What unsettled me the most, and I think this is the film's real point, is that the test makes everything worse in a way. When there's supposed to be a guaranteed answer, any doubt you feel becomes a kind of personal failure. The science removes the ambiguity, and in doing so, removes the very thing that makes love feel real. Riz Ahmed as the co-worker she develops feelings for is understated and magnetic. Jessie Buckley is exceptional. It's slow, it's melancholic, and it'll absolutely stick with you. Number 4, and I'll be upfront, this film got me. Like, properly got me, and I wasn't ready for it. Finch is a post-apocalyptic story, but stripping away all the usual noise of the genre, it's really just about a dying man, the robot he builds, and his dog. Tom Hanks plays Finch, a robotics engineer surviving alone in a bunker on a scorched, irradiated Earth. He knows he's running out of time, and his sole purpose in whatever time he has left is making sure his dog is looked after when he's gone. So he builds a robot, and tries to teach it, in one road trip across a decimated America, everything it means to be human. The scenes where Finch is essentially parenting Jeff the robot, patiently explaining why sunsets are worth stopping for, why dogs need to feel safe rather than just be safe, those hit in a way I wasn't expecting. It's so simple, but it's devastating. Hanks does what Hanks does, which is somehow make you feel like you've known this man your entire life, and then break your heart completely. The progression of Jeff from this literal, clunky automaton into something capable of genuine care is quietly one of the best arcs in recent sci-fi. A genuinely warm, sad, brilliant film. Number 3. And Swan Song is what happens when you take a concept that sounds like a Black Mirror episode and treat it with the patience and emotional intelligence of a proper drama. Mahershala Ali plays Cameron, a terminally ill man who's offered the option to be replaced, seamlessly, secretly, by a genetically identical clone, so that his family never has to experience the grief of losing him. His wife never finds out, his kids never find out. He just disappears into a facility and lets the copy live his life. And the film spends almost its entire runtime inside Cameron's psychological unravelling, as he watches his own replacement through a camera feed, seeing someone with his face and his memories loving his family in his place. It's a deeply strange, deeply uncomfortable thing to watch, and Mahershala Ali playing both versions of the same man, one dissolving, one becoming, is one of the most controlled, layered performances I've seen in a sci-fi film. Glenn Close as the doctor running the facility adds this quiet moral weight that the film never quite resolves, which I think is the right call. It doesn't tell you whether Cameron made the right choice, it just makes you sit with the question. That's the mark of really good speculative fiction. Number 2. And The Gorge is, I genuinely mean this, one of my favourite film experiences in recent memory. The setup is brilliantly contained. 2 elite snipers posted in watchtowers on opposite sides of a massive, fog-covered gorge. Separate sides, separate allegiances. Strict orders not to communicate. And yet, They start leaving each other little signals across the void, exchanging mixtapes via drone, comparing kill counts like it's a sport, falling in love across a chasm they're not allowed to cross. Miles Teller and Anya Taylor-Joy have this chemistry that feels almost inexplicable, given that for the first half of the film, they're essentially just waving at each other through binoculars. But it works. The spatial dynamics of the film, the vast, oppressive silence of the gorge between them, does so much heavy lifting in communicating their isolation and the pull they feel toward each other despite it. And then the second half arrives, and the film becomes something else entirely. Something much louder and much more terrifying. I won't say more than that. Scott Derrickson, who directed Doctor Strange, shows real range here. He builds the intimacy so carefully in the first hour that when the chaos finally arrives, you're genuinely invested in these two people surviving it. It's an incredible piece of genre mixing. And number 1. Okay, so, Eternity. The premise, on paper, sounds like it could be played for laughs. You die, you end up in what is essentially the world's most emotionally loaded DMV, and you have 1 week to choose where you'll spend the rest of forever. There are pastel kiosks, laminated floor maps, a beach world option. The afterlife is apparently largely a logistical problem. But then the film reveals its actual heart, and it hits like something heavy and quiet at the same time. Elizabeth Olsen plays Joan, a woman who arrives after a long, full, messy life, and immediately has to confront the ghost of her first husband, who died young and has been waiting in this limbo specifically for her. Decades he's been waiting. And then there's Larry, her second husband. Warm, stubbornly real, the man she actually built a life with, who represents everything complicated and enduring about long-term love. The film is asking something that I think genuinely haunts people. Which version of a person are you, really? The one who felt everything most intensely at 23? Or the one who chose to stay, day after day, through the ordinary, grinding difficulty of an actual life together? Elizabeth Olsen is extraordinary in this. There's a particular scene, I won't say where it falls, where she has to make a decision and she doesn't say a word, and it's one of the most affecting things I've seen on screen in years. Miles Teller as Larry is brilliant too. He's funny and grounded and real in a way that makes you understand completely why someone would choose a whole life with him. The production design of the Afterlife Hub, all mid-century bureaucracy and fluorescent lights and gentle existential dread, is absolute genius. It takes the enormous, terrifying concept of eternity and makes it feel small and human, and somehow deeply relatable. It's one of the best sci-fi films on Apple TV, and definitely a must-watch. So that's the list. 10 films, 1 platform, 0 filler. If you've been sleeping on Apple TV's Sci-Fi catalogue, now you know what to queue up first. And if you want something a bit different after all that, something you can burn through in an evening, I've got another video right there. 10 hidden mini-series so good you'll finish them in one sitting. Honestly, some of the best TV I've watched this year is in that video. Go check it out. See you in the next one.